All right. Terrific. Sex. I can't wait. Hold it. I forgot. That's better. Hello, I'm Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Look at all these books. These papers. I've got to talk to my cleaning lady. No wonder I can't find anything on my desk. You know something? They are all about sex. Every one of them. Throughout the centuries, people have been writing about sex, debating about sex. What's good sex? What's bad sex? There's a lot of information here. Misinformation too. We have all been bombarded with it. Not only in books, in movies, on television. And look, after all we have heard and read about sex, we still don't always know what's important. Listen, what's really important is your attitude toward yourself, toward your partner. You know what I really would like? I'd like everybody to be better lovers, terrific lovers. But first, you have to know that really terrific sex comes from a good relationship. Because we are people, not machines, and people need to be with one another in a trusting way. If we cannot be open with each other and communicate together, then all the mechanics of sex, the positions, the erections, they won't mean a thing. The really critical thing is this. How open can you be? Can you say to your partner, look at my penis, do you like it? Or look how wet my vagina is, I'm so excited. Can you, even when you are looking in the mirror, say to yourself, my penis looks marvelous. Really, it does. Or my breasts are fabulous. If you can't, you need to work on this. And this tape can help you. But let it help you. Don't just sit there and listen to me talk. This is not TV, this is better. You can stop the tape. You can talk to your partner about something you see here or try something that stimulates your imagination. Don't just watch, communicate. We are going to explore ways to get more enjoyment from sex. We are going to look at masturbation, intercourse, fantasy. We'll talk about orgasm. Examine some problems in therapy sessions. And we'll have fun. Because sex should be a celebration of life, of joy of the body. And I would like you to give yourself permission to feel this way. To feel that sex is terrific. Something. Whatever you do, don't make love on your first date, because if you do, you'll miss out on all those wild, sexy thoughts in your imagination. The anticipation. Will he try? Won't he? Will she? That delicious feeling is gone out the window if you do it on your first date. So don't rush into it, all right? Why rush? Why am I rushing? Let's talk about foreplay. We all know what it is, right? It's those few minutes when we are in bed with our partner and he is maybe rubbing her breasts a little bit, or she's stroking his penis a few times, right? Wrong. Foreplay? I don't even like that word. It suggests it is something that happens before sex even begins. It isn't. Sex really begins with foreplay. Because foreplay is what a man and a woman do to excite each other. To arouse that spark that makes us think, aha, I want to make love to this person. It can be someone nibbling on your ear or someone wearing your favorite perfume. It can be anything that makes the two of you feel sexy, anything. Because foreplay is not just touching this part or kissing that part. It is like taking the spark between a man and a woman and blowing on it, making it even hotter. So why is this important? Because without foreplay, there would be nothing else. Nothing would follow. And with it, making love is much, much more exciting. It doesn't have to happen right before we make love. It can happen much earlier. Two people might be out for dinner. There may be candlelight. They may hold hands or play with their feet underneath the table. All this is foreplay because it is getting them in the mood to make love. Now, people still think that foreplay is really lovers touching each other. But all the senses are involved. Sight is one of the most important stimulators for everybody. You know, in the 1940s, Kinsey said that men were much more likely to be sexually aroused by direct visual stimulation. They could get an erection just looking at an attractive woman. But since then, women seem to be getting better sexual vision. Our bodies know that certain smells can be sexually exciting. And the number one sexy smell is our own natural body aromas. You know what you can try sometime? Try having sex with your partner after you have played tennis and have worked up a sweat. Don't take a shower until afterwards. You may be surprised how sexy this is. I still can't believe that there are women who are surprised to find out that their vaginal scent is very sexy to men. Madison Avenue tries to sell us sprays and deodorants. Forget about it. You know something? Some women use a little bit of vaginal secretion like perfume. They put it behind their ears and they say men love it. Now, women usually need more foreplay stimulation to be properly lubricated. And I don't mean just touching the clitoris. A lot of men start there, and they really shouldn't. Listen, men. Before you even touch the clitoris, explore all the rest of your partner's body. And let your own body be touched and explored. Many men find it difficult to receive foreplay. All I can say is, try it. Let yourself be fondled, kissed. Let the woman rub your nipples, you know? You might like it. You might get 3 erections, 2 of them in your nipples. Relax and enjoy it. In life, everything you see is not necessarily what you are getting. Voila! Did I fool you? Fabulous. You see, it's a trick. I fooled you once, and that's great. But I couldn't do it over and over. I do know a woman who has been faking orgasms for a whole lifetime. That's not good. And while men, of course, cannot fake an erection, they can fake orgasms. This faking has never made anybody happy because people become very angry after a while, very frustrated. And they let their frustrations out on other things in life. For instance, their children or their relationship with a partner. Do not fake sexual satisfaction. Discuss it with your partner. And if necessary, do get help. See, I fooled you again. I'm here in a private place because I want to talk to you about something very intimate. masturbation. You know, for centuries, people have had tremendous difficulties accepting masturbating, gratifying oneself sexually, bringing oneself to orgasm. In the olden days, in the time of the Old Testament, they thought it was bad because the survival of the race really depended on people reproducing, on having children. And if a man masturbated, he would be punished because masturbation was taboo. And that idea has persisted. The word masturbation really comes from the Latin masturbatio, which means to pollute oneself. That's what they thought. Do you know that even up to the 19th century, both men and women were often forced to wear chastity belts to keep them from masturbating, because people thought that if you masturbated, you would go insane. Of course, today we know better, but we still hear all those myths. Now, masturbation actually starts when a child is very, very young. A baby of 6 months actually can fondle himself or herself to orgasm. A boy doesn't ejaculate, of course, until much later. But he can have an orgasm and she can have an orgasm. For example, in a bathtub, a girl can discover her clitoris, manipulate it, move it, and really have an orgasm. When a child grows up a little later, he and she finds that actually there are spots in the body that, if manipulated and if caressed, feel very, very good. Leave that youngster alone. This is a normal happening of growing up, exactly like nocturnal emissions and orgasms during sleep for girls. Even married people in a wonderful marriage sometimes do feel that either he or she want to masturbate themselves to orgasm rather than to have sexual intercourse. And that's okay. Especially important is to tell older people that it's all right to masturbate to orgasm when they feel sexual arousal and when there is no partner available. Men, most of the time, do bring themselves to orgasm by caressing their penis, caressing the shaft, caressing the glands around the glands on top of the penis and the ridge around it, with strokes that differ. Sometimes faster strokes, sometimes slower strokes. Some men do like to caress the testicles. Some do like to touch the ridge that goes from the testicles to the anus. And also, for some men, touching around the anus is extremely pleasurable because there are a lot of nerve endings there. Because women need a longer time to get sexually aroused, it's a good idea to maybe take a bubble bath, to drink some champagne, to think some erotic thoughts, dreams of fantasies, and then to actually touch yourself over your whole body. Touch your breasts with different strokes and different pressures. Touch between your thighs. Touch the area of your stomach. Feel how nice a sexual arousal feels like. And then go back to the area of the outer lips, the inner lips. Maybe put one finger into the vagina. Most women don't like that direct touch of the clitoris, so go around the clitoris and go with that feeling of sexual arousal until you feel that you are about to have an orgasm. Don't stop then. That's an important issue, because very many women stop just at the point when they are about to have an orgasm. For men and for women, the most important aspect is really to give oneself permission for pleasure. And if that permission can be granted to oneself, then that orgasmic response, the entire sexual awareness, is enhanced and is terrific for the rest of your life. Usually I'm a very competitive tennis player, like my partner. Today I feel a little lazy. See what I mean? That goes for sex too. People are not Siamese twins. Sometimes they don't have the same sexual desire at the same time, at the same place. So don't start with a headache and had a rough day at the office routine if your partner wants sex and you don't. Be creative. That doesn't necessarily mean intercourse. Use your hand, use your mouth, whatever is in your repertoire to satisfy your partner. Play ball. I want to talk to you a little bit more about orgasm, because so many people seem to be so uptight about it. Women are wondering, are they having an orgasm? Are they having enough orgasms? Men are worried. Maybe their penis is not big enough to satisfy their partner. Enough worry about orgasm. Let's see if we can take away some of the mystery, okay? An orgasm is really like a sneeze. It is a reflex. You know how you feel when you are just about to sneeze and it is coming, and there is this feeling of build-up. And then, achoo! In earlier times, they used to think that a woman ought to have a vaginal orgasm during intercourse. Even the brilliant Sigmund Freud taught that a woman who needs clitoral stimulation in order to achieve an orgasm was an immature woman. Now, researchers like Masterson Johnson and Helen Singer Kaplan have clearly shown that the clitoris has to be involved in order for a woman to experience an orgasm. Therefore, loud and clear, there is no distinction between vaginal and clitoral orgasms. But for most women, the orgasm occurs when the penis either directly or indirectly touches the clitoris. So men, relax. Whatever the size of your penis, you can give a woman an orgasm. If your wife or girlfriend isn't having an orgasm through intercourse, you know what you can do? Try stimulating her clitoris with your finger while you are having intercourse or afterwards. A lot of people think that the man and the woman should be having an orgasm at the same time. This is called simultaneous orgasm. Relax. Sometimes you might have a simultaneous orgasm, but at other times you won't. It's okay. Sometimes you might not even have an orgasm at all. It doesn't mean that you both did not enjoy sex. You just didn't have an orgasm. Look, we need to take the pressure off all this. Many men feel pressure if they don't give the woman an orgasm with their penis every time. And then women feel pressure if they are not having one. They think something is wrong with them, or they don't want to tell their partners because they are worried about the male ego. The main thing is, stop thinking about it. Worrying will only make it harder for the orgasm to come. So relax. Orgasms are like people. They come in all sizes, all descriptions. And sometimes, you know what? They don't show up at all. So what? Now I'm going to show you in a simulated therapy session with a woman, her name is Ellen, a problem which I do hear very frequently. It's a problem that occurs in our society quite a bit. Ellen can have an orgasm by herself. She can bring herself to sexual satisfaction. The difficulty is that she cannot reach this height of sexual release with a partner. Part of the problem is very often the man puts such pressure on the woman to have an orgasm that the woman, in order to please him, in order not to create a problem, actually fakes an orgasm, but does not have the ability to really reach an orgasm during intercourse or during that sexual encounter. What I am going to do with Ellen is to talk quite a bit about the psychological implications of pleasing the partner and what it means. And in general, the prognosis for such treatment in sex therapy is excellent.
I don't think that I can have an orgasm. Not with a man. Not with sexual intercourse.
But you can have an orgasm when you stimulate yourself.
Yes.
You have no difficulty.
Yes, I can when I'm masturbating.
Okay, so what happens when you are with a man?
Well, when I'm with a man, I don't know, it's like I can't concentrate. I mean, I enjoy sex.
You do lubricate, the
yes.
vagina does get wet, okay.
But, you know, somewhere it really just stops. I sort of lose concentration and, you know, it just doesn't happen for me. And
Ellen, let me ask you something. Was that always the case, or is it with the man that you are with right now? Give me a little bit of a history.
Well, you know, I mean, I've had a few boyfriends in the past, and I've never had an orgasm with any of them. And I don't know. I mean, I think there's something wrong with me. It's my first boyfriend. I mean, he just came right out and told me. He said, "That's not normal."
Oh my gosh.
Well, and he always wanted me to come when he was inside me, and I couldn't, and he'd get really mad. And
so he put a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure.
What did you do?
Well, I mean, I started faking it with him, and I didn't want to, but, you know, it just sort of happened that way because it was
he
easier.
put so much pressure. It was easier to just fake an orgasm than to have him constantly say. And then what happened since? Is that still a little bit in your mind?
Well, I'm still doing it, you know, because it just sort of became a habit. I mean, I faked with, you know, other men, and, you know, I'm seeing somebody right now that I really like, and I don't want to continue doing that.
Right.
But I don't know how to tell him.
Right, hold it. I don't think you ought to tell him that you faked. I think that what we can do in this kind of treatment in a short period of time is for me to discuss with you some of the steps that you can take without ever having to tell him. Don't tell him about that first experience. It's the past. It has happened. Don't repeat it. But what you can do, and you can do that, will you see him tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Start already tonight. Have a nice dinner. Have a nice romantic atmosphere. And when the two of you are in that sexual encounter, without saying anything, take his hand. Show him with your hand how to move his hand. And in your head, just say to yourself, relax. Think about some pleasurable experiences. Do not permit that saying of that old boyfriend to pop up in your mind, because it's going to sabotage your ability to really let go. Don't say, I'm not going to come. Don't say, oh, I wish I will come. Just keep working towards that arousal that goes up on a plateau and then the orgasmic response, because you are very fortunate, Ellen. You already know what it means to have an orgasm. I have many women here who don't. What I'm going to do is to tell Ellen to forget about the unhappy experiences that she has had until today. For example, about the boyfriend who said that she's not normal because she can't have an orgasm during intercourse. And what I'm going to teach her is to not even share those thoughts with her boyfriend of right now, but to just guide his hand and to teach him how to give her pleasure, how to bring her to orgasm, either before or during intercourse, without talking about it. Get lost this time. Okay. Ellen, give me a clear picture of what happened when John and you were in bed.
Well, I pretty much did what we discussed the last time. I mean, I sort of set the evening and...
You set the stage, very romantic, nice. Yes.
But, I was kind of uptight about
course.
it, and he really was too. And I don't think that he understood what I was trying to do.
You kind of felt that he was a little reluctant to let you move aside. Okay, look, Ellen, that is to be expected. It's not going to work hocus pocus in one time. But the first most difficult step you already did. Were you able to feel some pleasure?
Yes.
Terrific. That's great. That's exactly what is needed. And were you able to say to yourself, relax and it feels good?
That was one nice thing about it, that there was a little less pressure.
Great.
Not
Excellent.
to do.
That's all I really need for right now. So what I would like you to do is, for the next time, try to stimulate yourself a little bit before, without John knowing about it. Go into the bathroom, just try a little bit the way you know how to have an orgasm, but not to orgasm. Then go into bed and do again holding his hand. A couple of more times, he's going to get the idea that this is what you really like. Be very loving, be very nice with him, but don't discuss it. Just don't say anything. Just let him learn that this is what you need. The reason I'm saying to stimulate yourself beforehand a little bit is because you are so fortunate. You already know how to have an orgasm. So this way you're not going to be frustrated. Ellen, if it doesn't work right away, for the next, let's say, 2 weeks, don't worry about it. Bring yourself to orgasm afterwards. Wait until he falls asleep. Don't fake it. But bring yourself to orgasm so that you're not frustrated, so that you're not uptight. It's going to work. It was a surprise to Ellen that I did suggest not to repeat and think about the past experiences and not to have to share it and not to tell John that she has been faking orgasm for the last couple of months. So by my suggesting that what is really needed is to build up the trust that John will be able to bring her to orgasm because she's guiding his hand, and to think about pleasurable experiences rather than the negative ones that she had before, there's no question in my mind that it's going to work. There's an old saying, if a widower marries a widow, there are 4 minds in that bed. Now, I want only 2 of you there. Don't bring your past experiences into bed with you. And you might say, what about your sexual experiences? Aren't they important? Of course they are. But don't tell your partner where you learned your tricks. A lot of people come to me. They are not really having problems, but they are not having as much fun as they could. They are under a lot of pressure. They are working too hard. Something is going on and sex has been put on the back burner. This is very common. So I want to talk to you about ways you can increase your enjoyment of sex. Try a new position. Fantasize. Put some variety into your sex life. There are lots of ways. Just be creative. Look at ancient Indian art, at Japanese art. You will see men and women making love in all kinds of exotic positions. People have made this an art, and they have refined it until there are over 600 positions that have been described. 600. Of course, To do all of them, you would have to be the captain of a gymnastics team. But anyone can try experimenting with a few. Look, to keep things interesting, we need variety, and having different positions in your repertoire can jazz things up a little bit. Also, not everybody is built the same. We are different, and we need to find out what different positions feel best for us. The most common position is called, and I don't like this name, but it is called the missionary position. This term comes from the Polynesians. When they saw the Europeans making love with the men on top and the woman underneath, they thought it was funny. The Polynesians squatted. Now, since a lot of the Europeans they knew were missionaries, they gave it that name. This position is really the old reliable way for most couples. Whatever its variation, it allows the couple to look into each other's eyes. The woman can feel protected by the man, and the man can feel in control. But it is not for everybody. Pregnant women shouldn't do it, and overweight people sometimes find it is not the best. In these cases, or in others, you might want to go for the female superior position with the man underneath and the woman striding the penis on top. Lots of times, the woman gets more satisfaction from this position. Being on top, she can monitor the rhythm. She can adjust herself to get maximum clitoral stimulation. Also, the woman can sit in the man's lap. This is good because either the man or the woman can control the motion, and you are close enough to embrace and kiss. Then, too, the man can enter the woman from behind. Some couples don't like this because it is not so intimate. You cannot face your partner. But in this position, you get maximum penis penetration into the vagina. This can mean more intense feelings in your genitals. There's another way, with the man standing up and the woman wrapped around him. This was originally a Hindu position. It allows the man to manipulate the woman against his body by maneuvering her buttocks. Couples sometimes use the scissors position where they are interlocked in a kind of an X. You can revolve slowly with each other, and the man can keep his erection for a very long time. Use your imagination to spice things up a bit. You may or may not want to engage in oral sex. Don't force it. But I also say that many people find it extremely exciting. And if you want to know what all the excitement is about, I have some suggestions. With fellatio, some women are a little reluctant to take the entire penis in their mouth. They might think it will go in too far and they will gag on it. Or they might worry that the man will ejaculate and they do not like the taste of semen. If these are the problems, look, you do not have to take the whole penis in your mouth. You can take just the tip. You can pretend it is an ice cream cone. And you know, you don't put an entire ice cream cone in your mouth either. You only put in a little bit at a time. Now look, if you know the woman does not want you to ejaculate in her mouth, just don't do it. It's that simple. Now, if the woman does not like the man to perform cunnilingus on her, it is usually because she is afraid that he won't like it. Maybe she was taught that her genitals smell or taste bad. If you wash frequently, forget about it. The smell and taste of a woman's vagina is natural and good. And lots of men love it. Really love it. But if you are a man who is a little bit unsure of himself about trying it, because it seems so dark and mysterious to you, well, maybe you could just give it a try. It might be an acquired taste, like certain exotic spices. And once you acquire it, you may never want to do without it. If you walk in the rain without an umbrella, you're going to get wet. If you have sex without contraception and you don't want to be parents, you are irresponsible and stupid. Hope is not a method of contraception. Listen to me. I have heard all the excuses in the world. Diaphragms ruin spontaneity. Condoms are like taking a shower with a raincoat on. Nonsense. You are playing Russian roulette, and we have 1.5 million unwanted pregnancies each year. Even though we don't have a perfect contraceptive, in my opinion, condoms and diaphragms are the best method we have. And you can learn to enjoy them. Learn how to put a diaphragm into her vagina and take your time putting a condom on his erect penis. Make it part of your foreplay. I wouldn't walk in the rain without a raincoat on, would you? Keeping variety in your sex life involves more than trying a few different positions. It means trying all kinds of different things. Like having sex at different times of the day or in different places. There's not only the bedroom, there is the living room couch, the kitchen floor, maybe hanging from a chandelier. I know a couple who do it in their car and they feel just like teenagers, and it is terrific. What about that movie, From Here to Eternity? Do you remember that? With the lovers at the beach having passionate sex in the waves? Fabulous. Listen, sometimes be like them, be wild and spontaneous. Or try this. Plan ahead for a weekend away, just the two of you. You will look forward to that weekend, and the anticipation will build. And the sex, when you get there, will be fantastic. Some people will engage in group sex or wife swapping just for variety. I do not recommend this. On the other hand, I will not condemn anything that does not hurt anybody and that both people want to do. Fantasies are fabulous, but the whole world doesn't have to know about them. I love them. My husband doesn't know about this car. You may have sexual fantasies. That's all right too. But before you start dreaming about Christy Brinkley or the boss Bruce Springsteen, be sure your partner wants to hear your private fantasies. Listen, you can imagine yourself with a whole football team. It's all right. Just keep your mouth shut. I have it in a book somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. I found it. Right in the preface, it says, fantasy is the poetry of sex. Sometimes sexual fantasies live up to that, and sometimes they are not so romantic. They can have you doing things that shock you. You might say, how could I be thinking about being on a construction site high over the city and being passed around from one hard-head worker to another? I don't want to do that, do I? Oof, what a fantasy. Listen, relax. You are right. You don't really want to do that. What you want is to fantasize about it, and that's okay. Even if some of your fantasies seem a little bit strange. Fantasies can be good for you. They can make you feel very, very aroused when you are making love with your partner. They can keep you on sexual track. Sometimes you might get distracted. Your mind might drift to business problems, or you might start worrying about your performance. With fantasy, even if you are thinking about making passionate love to the mailman, or imagining yourself sloshing around with a couple of lady mud wrestlers, your mind is where it needs to be, on sex. And believe me, both men and women use fantasy to make their sex more exciting. And not just because they are frustrated. You can be perfectly happy with your partner, completely content with your sex together, and still want to fantasize. So don't worry if your partner is having fantasies. It does not mean that you are not a wonderful lover or that anything really is wrong. But people get very uptight about this, especially since sometimes they may be ashamed of what they are thinking. A woman might think about being forced to have sex, or about being watched, or being with someone she knows. Maybe she's making love to a woman. That does not mean she really wants these things to happen. Or a man might imagine he is watching his wife or his girlfriend make love to another man or to another woman. This is not what he really wants. These are things he only wants in a fantasy. And it's okay. Fantasy is there for that. Just keep in mind that fantasy can really help to keep you aroused when you make love. So let yourself fantasize. It's fantastic. Look at that. I love newlyweds. See how happy they are. They'll have terrific sex tonight. I love that. But let's be realistic. When two people are together a long time, their sexual appetites will not always stay the same. Sometimes it's strong like a big wave, and sometimes it's at low tide. You must not let those low tides become a habit, though, because if you do, that's all you'll ever have, low tides. You will have ups and downs in a long relationship. So when you feel sexy, satisfy that appetite. And when you don't, relax. There's always another high tide. In our culture, for reasons that are not entirely clear to us, we see in the sexual therapy sessions quite a number of men who are what is called premature ejaculators. That means that these men do ejaculate before they really would like to ejaculate. In the simulated therapy session that I'm going to conduct, you're going to see Tony, who is afflicted with this kind of sexual dysfunction, and it is actually easily treatable, and I think that I can help him.
I guess, well, I just come too quickly. I get too excited and I can't control it.
Now, Tony, is that recently with the partner that you have right now, or has that been for a couple of years?
Well, I'm going out with a woman now, Andrea. But it's happening with her, but it's happened before.
It happened before. What I have to ask you a few very specific questions, and I do understand that it's not easy to be sitting here. Do you ejaculate the moment you pull your pants down before you even penetrate, or do you penetrate and you remain within the vagina for a few strokes? What happens?
Well, usually, I guess I ejaculate just after penetration, usually.
So you manage to hold the erection?
Usually, but with Andrea, I mean, I'm going crazy because, I mean, I think about her so much, and with her, it's worse than ever. I mean, we go out for dinner, and all through dinner, I'm like,
You have an erection.
Well, I'm thinking about going to bed with her all the time. I get an erection. I get really turned on, and I have to sort of try to control it. And by the time I do go home, I worry so much about it happening that
it actually happens before you even penetrate.
Yeah.
Okay, look, Tony. The first thing is that it really shows that you are sexually very aroused by Andrea, and that's good. The other thing I want you to know is that premature ejaculation is a sexual dysfunction that afflicts a lot of people in this society, and it is easily treatable. So what we are going to do is we're going to have a few sessions. I'm going to give you some ways of you being able to recognize that premonitory sensation, which is that moment before the point of no return, that moment before you ejaculate. And then I'm going to give you some suggestions of what Andrea can do in order to be of help to you. I'm going to give you these specifics, and Tony's problem is that he doesn't recognize the premonitory sensation. That's that moment of inevitability just before ejaculating. It's the moment of no return, because if that moment has arrived and he is not able to control it, he does ejaculate. What I'm going to do with Tony is to teach him, and then he can teach Andrea, how to help him to recognize that moment before ejaculating and to alleviate some of the anxiety and the worry that he has about not being able to control it. What I asked you to do, and now I need from you to tell me how it worked, is I asked you to masturbate, to stimulate your penis to the moment of that premonitory sensation, and then to stop in order for the erection to subside and then to start again. What happened?
Well, a couple of times it worked all right.
Which means a couple of times you could actually stop.
I could stop, but
Excellent.
But a couple of times I couldn't stop myself. It was too late.
Okay. On those times when you couldn't stop, does it mean that you were very worried? Were you thinking about, I hope it will work?
I guess so, yeah, because I kept on thinking how great it would be once I could control it with Andrea and everything, and then I guess I start worrying too much.
You see, if you become a spectator of your ejaculation, if you worry about it, if you think, oh my gosh, I hope it's not going to happen, then you're going to ejaculate. Because what you have to learn for this period of time right now is this control, and the control comes by your concentrating on the sensation in the penis, of not permitting any other thoughts to pop up in your mind. Now, I would like to go to the next step, and I would like you to tell Andrea to take your penis and to do the same thing that you did yourself in the exercises that I just told you. I want Andrea to concentrate and to stimulate your penis. You can't worry about is she getting tired. You can't worry about does she like to do that. You can't worry about anything. All you have to do, your entire power of concentration has to be at the sensation that you feel in order for you to be able to say, stop. Now, listen, Tony. Don't say stop too late, because if you feel that sensation mounting, and if you wait too long, you're going to ejaculate. You have to tell her, stop, just before it is too late, before that moment of inevitability. Then you say, Andrea, stop. She moves her hand away, and you will lose a little bit of the erection. You're a very young man. Don't worry about it. The erection is going to come up again. So lose a little bit, count, let's say, to 20. And then let Andrea do the same thing again. And only after you have said twice, stop, she stops, you lose part of that urge to ejaculate. Then on the third time, you can ejaculate. Do not have sexual intercourse until I tell you when.
Not at all?
No, not at all. So until I see you next week again, all you do is the exercises with Andrea. She right now has to do some training of your penis, which means what she's doing is she's pleasuring you, but you are recognizing that moment before it is too late in order to get that feeling of control. Okay, so next week I'm going to ask you. Tony's problem of premature ejaculating is going to be solved because he has a loving partner, Andrea. And Andrea, with the exercises that I have prescribed, is going to help him to be stimulated and to be able to recognize that moment before the point of inevitability, before it is too late. Because if that moment has passed, he would ejaculate. So what is going to happen is that he is going to recognize and to know when that moment arrives. He will be able to hold his erection longer, and the two of them are going to have terrific sex for the rest of their lives. Now, wait a minute. Don't forget about after you made love. When both of you have had an orgasm, this can be the best time for sexual play. You are both relaxed, but it is also a time when a lot of people, men especially, forget that there is another person there who still needs them. They may not feel like communicating, or they go into that refractory period and are tired. You know, some men tell women that it is necessary physically for them to go to sleep after orgasm. This is nonsense. Women don't accept this. And men just don't do it. Don't go to sleep. Realize that women need a longer time for the excitement to subside. Don't miss out on all this good afterplay. Touching without meaning to excite is great. Take the time. Give each other a massage. Maybe you want to use some oil, some powder. After the release of orgasm, this can feel fabulous. Or just talk to each other about the day, about how good you feel. Eat something. Or, hey, why not take a shower together? You can soap each other up and scrub each other down. It is very sensual and very relaxing. The secret really is to do something together that keeps you close and in contact. Maybe touching, maybe not. But whatever you choose to do, do it. Don't let this time get away from you. You'll find that if you do this, if you focus on afterplay that sex the next time you make love will feel a lot better, because afterplay can really be used as foreplay for your next sexual encounter together. Afterplay will make you feel closer, more open, even more adventurous with your partner. The trust will be there, and your sex together will just keep getting better and better every single time. Don't ever do anything under pressure. What I mean is, there is no reason to engage in a sexual activity that is disagreeable to you. But sometimes it might be worthwhile to try a new position. And guess what? You might even like it. Don't think that you ever have to do anything to prove your love for a partner. And likes and dislikes ought not to cause a big fight. Discuss it. Find a solution that is agreeable to both of you. And remember, this commandment doesn't have to be chiseled in stone. I don't know about you, but I feel terrific, because we have covered a lot of ground. Not everything, of course, that would be impossible. But we have learned, I hope, the most important thing, that the joys and pleasures of sex, while they are different for everybody, are there for everybody. Now, these exist, of course, within the boundaries of our faith. Most of us grow up in families where religion helps form our values, our sense of right and wrong. Every religious group has rules and guidelines on relationships, on marriage, on contraception, on all aspects of human sexuality. My position is always stay within the guidelines of your personal beliefs. Don't do anything that goes against them. Take my suggestions and use them according to your own values. But within those boundaries, be open to the possibility that sex can be a wonderful, fantastic part of your life. And give yourself permission to enjoy it. That is what I would like for all of you. Fabulous, terrific sex. Okay? So what are you waiting for?